coming out tonight. One with us and listen and learn about our elder and Griot, our jelly. Is that right?
Jelly, yep,
Jelly
jelly.
that we have tonight, which is African for Griot. My name is Felicia Wheeler. Welcome back to Hagley Theater. Thank you all again so much for coming out and spending some time with us this Monday evening. Hey, welcome as we listen to Ekpe Abioto, our speaker, this third speaker for Griot Voices. So I'm gonna read Ekpe's bio. I have a few questions to kind of guide conversation. It is I implore you all to kind of engage and participate if you have any questions throughout conversation. We just want this to be really relaxed and fun and light. It doesn't have to be anything too uptight and structured. And I'm still at work, but y'all off for now. But I'm going to read questions, and there will be an additional opportunity towards the end of conversation. If you all have any questions that you've been kind of hesitant to ask, please feel free and welcome. So I'm going to read the bio. If this bio will get started. Ekpe Abioto is a native Memphite and is the youngest of 14 children, 7 girls and 7 boys. Through his family's African roots, he has been exposed to African music, literature, arts, and culture his whole life. In 1970, at age 13, he began playing flute and has since become a multi-instrumentalist, storyteller, songwriter, and cultural enrichment specialist. Ekpe has traveled the world with various ensembles as a solo artist. Hi, welcome. He is artistic director of Genius Unlimited and does cultural performances, lecture, demonstrations, workshops for all educational levels from pre-K to institutions of higher learning such as Harvard University. He has created programming for libraries, faith-based organizations, museums, and special events. Ekpe is the leader of Ekpe and Company, also Ekpe and Afrikan Jazz Ensemble. He has 3 recordings entitled The Spirit of African Music, I Am a Genius, which is a musical or motivational learning music for children, which includes the Don't Touch a Gun song, and Black on Black Love. He has received several awards for his work as an arts educator. In 2024, he was chosen to be a James Weldon Johnson Fellow in the Arts for helping to preserve and pass on the legacy of Black music, history, and culture. Ekpe believes in the saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And that, as a creative artist, his responsibility is to inspire others to use their creative genius to better themselves, their family, their community, and humanity. That's beautiful. Don't Touch a Gun is his first book, and he has more music and literature in the works. In addition to that, if you all feel so compelled, there is merch available at the table as well, and Teal in the back will be able to assist you if you would like. So with that, let's get started. Welcome. Let's give a warm welcome to Ekpe.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. I want to start out with libation. Some of us know what libation is. So it's a way that we pay tribute to the ancestors. I'm not here on my own volition. None of us are here on our own. Anybody here give birth to themselves? Anybody? You got to talk to your mom about it. This stuff happens. That's his mom over. She looking at it like he's. Well, we want to do that, we all have ancestors, so I like to, because anything that I do, it came from my ancestors, it came from my family and my lineage, as I said, this is not just something that just happened. It happened over centuries, over decades and over centuries, so as I said, I want to start out with libation, and libation is a way, as I said, we pay tribute to the ancestors. Can everybody say Ashe? Ashe! Now, for those who do not know what Ashe means, Ashe is an African word. It means so be it, or it is done. It's actually a word of power, of affirmation, to say if it can be done, it will be done. And so something was done as to why I'm here today. Things happened before me. Nothing happens in a vacuum. So we pour libation. And I have to ask permission before we continue with libation. You have to ask the elders, we asked because you have to get permission. So is there anybody here that's in their 90s? Anyone in their 90s? Anyone in their 80s? Who's in their 80s? We got a few 80s in the house. And now, anybody want to say what specific age of 80? 83. 86? Going once, going twice. 86. May we continue with libation. Thank you. And there's always duality in the universe, the heavens and the earth, life and death, all kinds of dualities. You know, we respect the elders. That's what we were taught coming up when we were brought up. We were taught to always respect the elders. Whether you agree with them or not, that was not the issue. You had to agree with them. Now, you may go off and do something crazy after you get out of their sight. But you know you better act right and don't let word get back home that you did something out of the way either. They'll get you for that. And so, as I said, duality, we want to recognize the young people because whatever we do, we have to pass these things on to the young people too as well. So, who's the youngest in the room? Any 2-year-olds, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds? We got a 5 over there. Okay. Zaire, you got beat out. We got a 5-year-old. He's like, that's my little nephew right there. So may we continue with libation? May we continue? Okay. Sometimes they say silence is consent, so I'll take that as a yes. Did not say no. So, you know, we do that because, as I said, we want to recognize the young people, the children. We want them to be involved in things that we do in our community and in life. So they say, there's one saying in Africa that says, as long as you call a person's name, the spirit of that person is still around. And they say there are always 3 people in the village. Those of us who we physically see, those who are yet to be born, and those who have passed away. They're all here. So, libation is important, as I said before. Zara, would you mind? We're going to do, normally this is done outside sometimes. They call it outdooring. Zara, that's my niece right there, my grandniece, Zara. So, take a little dirt out of there, if you don't mind, and put some dirt right in that where that flower is. That's a symbolic flower. That's not a real flower. Sometimes we like to do it, as I said, sometimes we call it outdooring, and you do libation outside. So we do the dirt because of this, because in the tradition, anybody who studied history at all, on any level, you know that the oldest remains that they found of anybody on the planet was an African woman. Her name was Dinknesh. Everybody say Dinknesh. They also called her Besmet. Can you say Besmet? And some of you may know about another man, the Leakeys in England. They went there and they found her and they called her what? They called her Lucy. But we like to call her by her African names for historical and accurate purposes. So that's why we have this earth. This is earth that's from Africa. I know because I brought it back myself. It's from what we call the motherland. So why do we call it the motherland? Once again, because the oldest remains was from an African woman. That's why we call Africa the motherland. And also, here we have some water. We're going to pour libation. And so, when we call the names of ancestors, we pour a little water. Water is very important. How many people drank your water today? Be honest, did you drink your water today yet? Water is important for life. Water is life and life is water. Because most of the planet is a land of water. It's water. Water is very important. So water symbolizes the wisdom that the Creator gave our ancestors that flows from one generation to the next. So I want to start off by calling the name of our ancestor in our family, the oldest ancestor that we know in our family. She was stolen from Africa about 200 years ago. And so she was brought to the Western Hemisphere and she died in Haywood County, about 2 counties from here, in that area. So her name was Grandma Mandan. We all say Ashe. So we call the name of your ancestor, and we say Ashe. We recognize your ancestor too. Ashe. Ashe. Now let me say this. So let me say this because some people Ashe. So when you call the name of your ancestor, whoever you are, we're going to say Ashe. So this is call and response. So this is a communal thing, right? So I don't think it must be some ventriloquists in the audience because I didn't see some people's mouths move. They know how to throw their voice without even saying it. Y'all feel me? All right, let us continue with libations. Thank you. Call his name. Ashe. 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 John Coltrane. Ashe. 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 Ashe.
Reverend James Weldon.
Ashe. Ashe. And we can go on and on and on, like Eric Badu says, on and on and on and on. Because there are many names that we could call. So we go back to the motherland once again. All those names that we do not know, we say for them. All those who came across in the middle passage that we call the Ma'afa, the great suffering that continues, we say for them. All those who died on these shores for freedom, we say for them. All those who died by police violence, we say for them. And also for all those who died by the violence that we perpetrate on each other because we are ignorant of who we are as human beings. We say for them. Ashe, it is done. Thank you, Zara. Thanks, Zara. This is Zara. Give it a hand for Zara. Now, just a moment just to bring it into context even more, just a moment of silence for those who we call and those who we did not call. Just take some nice breaths while I play, nice long reflections of breath. Asheo. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for participating. Felicia, now we're set to go.
All right, that was so beautiful. Thank you, grounding. Thank you for that moment of pause and introspection and honoring. So for a few of the quite a few of us in the audience, there are a lot of familiar faces.
A lot of familiar faces.
But I think it do us all well to kind of start from the beginning. what was your childhood and upbringing like? How were you first exposed to music? And because I know it's afforded you a lot of opportunities for traveling, and you're internationally known. And so, for those that may not be as familiar, I think it'd be great to kind of start with your origins.
Okay. So I was born August 29th, 1957. I remember that day like it was yesterday. So that's when I was born. Once again, into a family of 14. I'm the youngest, I'm the baby of the family. When I was younger, they used to say, oh, he's the baby of the family. I said, no, I'm not the baby, I'm the youngest. Now that I'm 68, I like being called a baby now, so it's cool. I'm cool with that now, so, but yeah, that's how it started, my mother and father. My father's name is Robert E. Lee. That's interesting in terms of when we think about the history of my family, right? The protest, my father's name is Robert, y'all know who, Robert, so anyway. But, and my mother, Alberta Williams Lee. So, so it was an interesting household. Once again, being the youngest, there's a lot going on, a lot of activity. A lot of ins and outs, in and out, and a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, but from the music perspective, I was listening to African music, at a young age. Grew up in the church, Providence African Methodist Episcopal Church. So of course, if you go to a black church, you're going to hear music. And that's just the way that is. So I guess that was that was my first exposure to live music in the church. And then in the household, we played a lot of different kinds of music based on I don't think my parents ever bought any music. My sisters and brothers, they brought music into the house. You have 14 children, you got to take care of the children first. And then everything else will come after that. So, but we would listen to the radio, we would listen to WDIA. Y'all know WDIA, of course, yeah. Yeah, we would listen to WDIA, so we heard all kinds of music, gospel, we heard R&B, Ray Charles, Hit the Road, Jack. So that's early 60s, we were hearing that music, and James Brown, who had a brand new bag? Y'all really? Some of y'all already know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Papa's got a brand new bag, James Brown. So that's what we were listening to. And a lot of music, just good music. And, anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute, but I will get to that. The music then and the music now. I really dare to call it music. Some of the stuff that's happening now. I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm just going to be honest. I even dare to call it music. So anyway, that's what it was. We grew up in a household with a lot of music and books. We had books in our house. My parents, they were educated. Let me say they were intelligent. They were very intelligent folks. To raise 14 children, they were intelligent folks. My mother, she went to about the 8th grade, but at that time, you could actually teach school with an 8th grade education. So that's how, she was born in 1911. My father was born in 1906. He said, woo. So, yeah, you're right, Zaya, you're right. Yeah, so that's why you have the children around, kind of, there. But he was born in 1906. And he went to about the 4th or 5th grade, what was it? 6th grade. But he was highly intelligent, very intelligent. So don't let the PhD, some people call it powered higher and deeper. That's what some people call it. First you get your BS. I'm not. But it doesn't necessarily make you intelligent. To be, but my folks were highly intelligent people, and they passed on a lot of history and culture in us. They instilled in us self-pride, which I'll say a lot of our young people do not have today. So when you see crime in the streets, I'm just going to call it straight. When you see crime, it's because of lack of self-pride. Lack of self-pride. all these other things, they can toss it all around and flip it and do shell games all day long, right? Right. But you have to have self-pride. And so that's what we were taught in our home. We were taught self-pride. I learned how to play this pipe. That's what I went down and hung out with Blind Mississippi Morris. He's a blues man. He called it the big whistle. That's what he called it. But flute, my brother Mark David Anthony Lee, he came here. He had two middle names. Who he just passed away, by the way, in July 21st. But he brought a flute home. He was in the band at Leicester High School. Any other Leicester High School folks in the house here? Leicester High School folks. Levi, you didn't go to Leicester?
No, I lived there in the neighborhood, but I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go? Okay, I thought he lived in Binghamton, in the Hap. He lived out there. But yeah, he was a musician. He played guitar. He traveled with Bobby Bland. Played with B.B. King. A lot of different people. Tim Trees. He was a Stax musician. And so he brought a flute home one day, and he said, anyway, I picked it up. And he started showing me a few things, and so I just started messing around with it. And later on, I became a little proficient at it, a little proficient at playing flute. And in school, in junior high school, and high school, and in college, I played flute in the jazz band, doubling on saxophone. Flute came first, then saxophone. But in the jazz band, the main instrument, you have a saxophone section. You don't have a flute section. Yeah. So I was in the saxophone section playing in the jazz band. But I played flute, so that's how I came to play flute, because he brought a flute home. And that's how it happened. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about the first instrument that you learned,
yes.
being exposed at a really young age with music through the church. So I'm wondering, what is your most, not necessarily the earliest memory, but your most cherished memory involving music, or are those the most cherished?
Well, there's a song that I used to act out. How old was I? Maybe 4 or 5 years old? I don't know. Probably 3. That's my sister Elaine, for those who do not know. They know me. They think they know me better than I know me. That's what they think. But I ask them questions sometimes just to kind of, make sure you listen to that right. Thank you. But yeah, there was a song by Brooke Benton called "The Lost Penny," and you can put it up on YouTube now. You can find all kinds of stuff. But I used to act this song out, right? As the song, you see the story, you hear the story in the song. So that's my earliest memory of my direct connection to music. I was not playing music at the time, but was listening to it. So we grew up in the household also listening to Miriam Makeba. Some people do not know who that is. From South Africa. She was introduced to the West by Harry Belafonte. And of course, most of us, I would imagine, know who Harry Belafonte is. But that music was in our household, the calypso music from Harry Belafonte and Mary Makeba and Hugh Master Kayla from South Africa. So those are some of my earliest memories of music in our household, African music, and just music in general. Yes.
Okay, so transitioning to Africa, I'm curious about when you learned, or if that was one of the original instruments too, like the first early instruments that y'all had at home. When and where did you first learn how to play the djembe drum?
I started playing djembe. There was a man named Mbili Masala. He was from Memphis, but he had left Memphis and came back. And he brought a djembe back. This was like 1979, I believe it was. He brought a djembe back, and I got that djembe from him and started learning some things from him. Then my drum teacher from Suleiman, his name is Suleiman Joke from Senegal. I started learning some rhythms from him, and then traveling, going to different conferences and going places. So that's when, but I was playing conga drums before that. Okay. I played congas, so some people call it Congo drums, which of course you understand the African connection, like the Congo. So I started doing that in 1977. There were a group of us in the park, in Overland Park. Ralph Hunt, Walter Person, we called him Ishmael. We would have these sessions on Sunday evenings in Overland Park, and the people would just hang out. That was when you could just drive through. People would cruise through, Overland Park and just. No cruising now. Yeah. Yeah, this was back in, like maybe 78, 77, 78. And we would go there every Sunday evening and just play music, play percussions, and just have a good time. And so that's when I began to hone some of my skills then, playing in Overton Park. And then, so then djembe came, like I said, in about 79. But before that, because music during that time had a lot of conga drums in it. You know, if you listen to Earth, Wind and Fire, of course, and you would go ahead, you were saying Mary. You would say who? You were saying somebody? The Last Poets. How many people familiar with the Last Poets? Yeah, the Last Poets. They had conga drums in their music. It's an interesting story about the Last Poets too, since we mentioned that. One of the founders of the Last Poets, his name is Abioto. They came out of New York. See, Memphis is a very, very interesting place. People do not realize the influence of Memphis around the whole world. So those of us who've traveled around the world and traveled other places, we find these things out. They say, "Oh man, you from Memphis?" Wow. I mean, it's like that. Really, literally like that. And so I was up in New York last year. Was it last year? We had taken a trip to Africa. Year before last. Who said that? Okay, too. Okay. Year before last. Right, year before last. No, right. Year before last. So I came back through New York, and my friend Michael Sanders, he's a Memphis Harlemite. From Memphis, but lives in Harlem now. So anyway, we went to this poetry session. It was, and Abioto was there, one of the founders of the Last Poets. And he was talking about how the Last Poets came about. And he said, after Dr. King was killed here in Memphis, he was getting ready to be a serial killer. Because he felt so bad about Dr. King being killed. He said he was just getting ready to go out and just start killing folks. And somebody told him, man, don't do that. You have to find a way to channel that energy. And that's how the Last Poets came about. Of what happened in Memphis, April 4th, 1968. So that's how, so these stories, Memphis stories are everywhere, and it's just like these threads, you know. So yeah, during that time there's a lot of percussions, and if you listen to the Last Poets music, it's percussion music, congas, and you know, and of course we were listening to, as I said, Earth, Wind and Fire. They had a lot of percussions in their music, and Donny Hathaway. A lot of these people, there was a time, this was during what we call the Black Arts movement also, during the Black Power movement, and the music reflected that time. So just go back to dealing with the trajectory of black music. When African people were brought here, we used music to communicate on how to escape from slavery, drums in particular first, right? We used drums, then the slave master found out we were using drums, then the drum was outlawed. You know, it's still outlawed. Hand drums are still outlawed today. You may not know this or not. It was actually law, but I say it because it was never taken off the books. So after the Haitian Revolution, which is a very important time in black history, during the Haitian Revolution, they used drums and conch shells to communicate. That's how they defeated Napoleon's army, Boukman, Dessalines, and Toussaint Louverture. Drums are very important. So when word got out that they had used their history and culture, their drums and their African prayers, their African rituals to give them the strength to fight Napoleon's army, then word got it right. So okay, so much for those drums. So the drums, so they were tortured, killed, hands chopped off, you know, if they caught you playing drums, those kinds of things. So yeah. So when you look at that trajectory, then when the drums were taken away, they began to sing spirituals. Speaking of that, I brought books because anybody ever heard of a book snake?
A book snake?
Yeah. You heard of book one, right?
Yeah.
I'm a book snake. I'm a book snake. So anybody's ever been to my house, you know I got books everywhere. I mess with the children when I go to school. So I said, I even have books in the bathroom. They said, ooh. I said, well, while you're sitting there, you might as well get some knowledge in your brain. So, you know, so they go like, ooh. So anyway, So I do a lot of reading. So since I mentioned the spirituals, the spirituals are very, very important songs. The most underrated in much of our culture, even in the church today. Because folks want to get away from those old ways, the old ways. Let's hear some Kirk Franklin. That's cool too, Kirk, I ain't got nothing against Kirk. And these other folks that's doing what they do. But this is the root of all of it right here. The spirituals. That's the root. So I brought these books just to show that it's important. Literacy is very, very important. Some other books, Nile Valley Civilizations. This was edited by a man named Ivan Van Sertima. Anybody heard of Ivan Van Sertima? Yeah, he wrote a book called They Came Before Columbus, The African Presence in Ancient America. It's documented that black people were in America long before slavery time. That's documented. Go to Mexico, you see the sculptures, the old Mex, going further down into Veracruz, all throughout South America. Documented artifacts. So this is one of the conferences that they had, Nile Valley Civilization. So if you notice in my introduction, right, you introduced me, I don't call myself a Memphian, I call myself a Memphite. And if you understand what a Memphite is, that's for you to look up later, not right now. You can look that up later. So you can understand what a Memphite is. It's not a Memphian. That means we came from somewhere else. Going back to the Nile Valley civilizations, okay. So anyway, so the spirituals, I'll move on a little forward. I'll hold this one in my hand. So we're talking about the spirituals now. This is a very important book too. W.C. Hayden is all about. Y'all still sell this book at the Handy Museum. Go to this is my sister Elaine. Y'all know Elaine. Some of y'all do. She runs Heritage Tours. And my niece runs Heritage Tours. Tia works with Heritage Tours. She's also my organizing assistant. But they work Heritage. But anyway, everybody should read this book if you want to know it. So there was a man that was called. You call Memphis Slim, didn't you? Anybody heard of Memphis Slim? Yes. Some of you may not, because he was a great artist here, but being that he was a blues musician and segregation and all that, he left Memphis. His name was Peter Chapman, right? His name was Peter Chapman. Levi's his cousin. So that's a Blues City Culture Center back there. Wave your hands in the air like you can. So we got stories with them too. We got stories, global stories with them also. We can talk about that. But anyway, the blues though. But this is a very important book to read. It delves into the history and the culture of Memphis, but deeper than that. He talks about African music. He says himself that blues originated from African music. He talks about that in here. So literacy is very important. As I said, not being a musician is fine. I love being a musician. I love what I do, but I love to read also. That's why I get a lot of knowledge, so I can incorporate it into what I do musically and historically. So anyway, the field hollers, all that came out of the field hollers and the blues and gospel and ragtime and jazz, of course. So this music trajectory. And so rap goes back to Africa. We call it Kebetu in the Wolof Mandinka land. It was done by the old people, done by these old men. We call them jellies, right? Griot is actually a French word because the French colonized a lot of West Francophone countries, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. So you had that French influence, but you had the European influence. All of them were European, but the English influence of Nigeria and the Gambia and some other countries. But anyway, I frame it this way. The reason why these young people are doing what they're doing is because they do not know their history and culture. That's why they say ignorant things in the music. It's ignorance to call a black woman out of her name in a song. It's ignorance to talk about shooting and killing somebody. That's pure ignorance. And I heard somebody say something real stupid today too.
What was that? I'm scared to ask. Is that all?
Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. So this man, what's his name? Patel. He said a dumb thing today. Oh, America is the safest country in the world. I'm like, who told you that? Where you get that from? And I talk about saying I wrote the book Don't Touch a Gun, but I'm just kind of jumping around a little bit. But I'm like, I think about it. I've been to countries all around the world, countries in Asia, Japan, Korea. I've been to Germany, Canada, France. I've never heard a gunshot anywhere else in the world. I've never heard a gunshot anywhere. We just got back from Kemet, Egypt, some of y'all call it. Did we hear any gunshots over there?
What?
None. Nowhere in the world have I ever heard a gunshot since I've been traveling out of this country since 1979. First went to Japan, right? Went over there playing. And we saw the police. And the police didn't have any guns. I said, it must be pretty safe over here. So, people say dumb stuff. I mean, stupid. Dumb. If you stay dumb long enough, you get to be stupid. If you stay ignorant long enough, you get to be stupid. So I heard some stupid stuff that I'm not even going to get into all the stupid stuff I heard today. I was watching and listening because you have to watch and listen, You have to watch and listen to see what's going on around you. I'm not that ostrich with my head in the sound. I want to find out what's happening. So I listen to what's happening. But anyway, but this music thing though, so as we come on up into history, during the 50s and 60s, you had people like Max Roach, Abby Lincoln. Man, you said, Abby Lincoln, you know what's up. Who said that? Oh, yeah. Oh, Smitty, no one. Yeah, Smitty knows. Y'all know Smitty, don't you? Y'all don't know Smitty? Vasco Smith Jr. All right, y'all. Somebody, y'all didn't say nothing. Yeah, Smitty. Yeah, his mother, Maxine Smith. Yeah. So he knows some stuff. He's been around a couple of times. He knows some stuff. But yeah, Abby Lincoln. Those people who were doing that music that were telling the story of our people. See, music tells a story. Even when the young people are doing, I call it ignorant music today, they're telling a story about the pain that they're in and how much they have not been taught their history and culture, how much lack of self-pride they have. Some of y'all know this now, the white folk and the black folk too. Y'all know what to say when I say this. All y'all know. Say it loud. I'm proud. So y'all know. No matter what your ethnicity is, because that's James Brown. That's James Brown. So let's rap. We rap that whole song. I ask the question to people sometimes. I said, what's the first number one rap song? What's the first number one rap song? They'll go back to, what was it, Rappers Delight? They'll go back to The Message and all this stuff. I said, no. This was before it was called rap. And so I finally tell them what it was. Yeah, James Brown, say it loud and black and proud. So we have to understand what the music was used for. And once again, music reflects the times, And so when the drugs were put in the community, the Iran-Contra thing, what was that guy's name? Oliver North and all this stuff was happening politically. And the community was flooded with drugs and guns and all this. And they took music out of the schools. And it was a setup. It was a setup. How many people heard of COINTELPRO? Short for Counterintelligence Program. From the FBI. Stuff just don't happen out of nowhere. The music was intentionally changed to help destroy what was happening in the communities. That was intentional. That was not just happenstance, accident, or any of that. So you had Stevie Wonder talking about Stevie's stuff. I mean, Stevie, one of the cool. Now, most people don't know Stevie is actually an African historian. So when I first met him in Japan in 1982, we went to his concert. He came to our show too. He came to see Galaxy too. He came out to where we were playing. He's that cool. Steve is like that. But anyway, I asked him, I said, when you were singing that song on that album, Journey Through the Secret Life of Plants, I said, were you talking about the Dogon people? He said, yep. He was singing about the Dogon people in Mali, West Africa. These were the people that charted stars like thousands of years ago, right? That he's an African historian. Then Maurice White, another book, a Memphis book. Where did I put it? Oh, on the drum. This book. Yeah, we just did a show just last week. It's Ron Booth. Give it up for Ron Booth. Great musician. We play together quite often. Great musician. And sitting next to him is his wife, Karen. Her mother, see, it's history all in the room. Her mother it was in the city of movements to desegregate the libraries in Memphis. Yes. So all this history is just connected, so connected, it's just connected. Like, what's that?
I said you're sitting in the room.
Sitting in the room. I think, who was it? Donny Hathaway, he did a song called Everything is Everything. Not everything is everything, don't get it twisted. What did I say? Everything is everything. Got to get the language straight. But this book, Maurice White's book, he tells a lot of the history. He talked about Memphis throughout the book. Of course, they travel all around the world. But he refers back to Memphis quite a bit in this book to talk about the importance of Memphis. And if I begin to name the Memphis artists who played with some of everybody, and he himself left Memphis. When you read this book, he was beaten up by the police when he was a teenager. Yeah. His mother left and gone to Chicago, and she came back and got him, and she told him, "You're not going to be able to do what you need to do in Memphis." And she took him to Chicago as soon as he finished Booker T. Washington High School. And he went on, he became a session musician at Chess. That song, Rescue Me, anybody know that song, Rescue Me? Fontella Band, that's Maurice White playing drums on that. He played with Ramsey Lewis and some of everybody. So he's an African historian too. We had met before, but when Isaac Hayes, when this man, Nene Cartel Consi, who knows who Nene Cartel Consi is? Isaac Hayes. My sister, she knows him. They graduated from Manassas together, so Black Moses, y'all know Black Moses. Black Moses, right? So I was playing kalimba at Maurice at Nene Cartel Consi. I was playing kalimba at his service, at his wake, And Maurice walked in the room. And of course, Maurice was the one that made this instrument famous, kalimba, for those who not know the name of this instrument. So he walked in the room, I was like, okay, I got to step up my game now. Maurice in the room. So we talked afterwards, and we were talking about Africa. He said, man, I like your kalimba player. I said, man, I learned this from you. So we were talking about Africa. That's what we talked about. So Memphis music is very, very important. And even today, let me talk about today again. You have to connect the dots. This man trying to delete black culture everywhere, right? But guess what? There would have been no Graceland for him to go to had it not been for black culture. Let's get it straight. Like Lattimore said, let's straighten it out. Let's straighten it out. There would have been no Elvis as we know it. The music he learned was from Big Mama Thornton, Calvin Newborn, all these Blackwell, and all these are black folks, in case you didn't know. If you don't know, now you know. So that wouldn't have even been, he wouldn't have been able to go there had it not been for black culture. But he's trying to delete it, trying to, shut everything down, but it ain't gonna happen. He will die trying. What you say, Smitty? Hey, it's a free speech.
All right.
Go ahead.
I think this is it's not too hard of a pivot, but when was your first trip to Africa? Can you describe what that experience was like for you?
First time, 1989. That year, Memphis in May honored Kenya. And so I was a part of that, I guess you could say maybe delegation or whatever, that connection. So we went to Kenya. Myself, I was working with a man named Arthur Hall at the time. He was a dancer. And so we went to Kenya as a part of that program. We worked with the Bomas of Kenya, the National Dance Company. And we came back to Memphis and did a performance at the Orpheum Theater. So that was 1989. That was the first time I went. And it was a beautiful trip. It was beautiful. We went to the Rift Valley, where the Maasai and some Voodoo people are. So that was a beautiful trip.
Okay.
Yes.
And forgive me, you all, I am just now looking at the time, so I don't
up my document right now that has questions from the audience. So what I ended up doing was I created a registration form, and in the bottom section was an opportunity for comments or questions. And so if I can find it.
So while you're looking that up, when Abioto was telling me that, I asked him if I could record him. I recorded him telling that story about the last poets and their origins being from Dr. King being killed. So I recorded him saying that.
Okay.
I see your hand over there.
Yes, please.
You mentioned WDIA years past. Did the WDIA Goodwill and Scarlet reviews have any impression on you?
I'm trying to see, did I ever go to any of those? But I heard about it. You know, sometimes I was young and didn't get to go to certain things. Okay. If my older siblings didn't take me, I didn't get to go because my folks were like grounded in what they were doing. So, did I ever go to the Starlight Review? She doesn't think I ever went. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you talk about Don't Touch a Gun and your inspiration for your anti-gun violence campaign, essentially, in the book, and in the context of everything that's going on in Memphis, in particular, in the world, but specifically in Memphis?
Yes.
We know there was a young boy that was robbed the other day. There was a young
7-year-old boy.
Yeah, 7-year-old robbed, and there was a 14-year-old killed last week. So can you talk about anti-gun violence?
So, yeah, we talk about this sometimes. Me and my friends, we never knew of these things happening when we were growing up. We never heard about somebody our age being shot and killed. We never heard about that. Now, somebody might get cut every now and then. But nobody got shot and killed. We do not remember that. And once again, going back to the music. So the origins of that book and that song, in 1997, I was getting ready to do a performance for all the Head Start children in Memphis and Shelby County, about 2,500 children, with the staff and, teachers and parents. So I had already written I'm a Genius, the song I'm a Genius and Buckle In, those children's, rap songs. And so the director at the time, she said, somebody should write a song for children. This is when we were getting ready to sign the contract and all that, to get ready to do the performance. It was September of 97. She said, somebody should write a song for children about not touching guns. She said, sometimes children pick up guns, shoot themselves by accident, somebody in the family. And I just said, okay, I'll do it. I had no idea what I was writing. I just said, I'll do it. And so by the time the performance came around in November, that's what I told her. I said, I have a song written by the time we do the performance. So we had this big performance at Claiborne Temple. I rented Claiborne Temple out. And so that's the origins of the song. And then I did a music video, I think it was like 2000. There's a music video still online. It's called Don't Touch a Gun. Ekpe Abioto. It's on YouTube. So that was the origins of it, coming from a musical perspective. And once again, me loving books and loving to read, I said, that's the way to communicate. Write a book, write a story about it. So that's how the book came about. So I wrote the book, the illustrations about Darlene Newman. Yeah, her father's a great musician too in Memphis. Earl Thomas, great jazz musician here in Memphis. Yeah. But anyway, so she did the beautiful illustrations of the book. And so I didn't just want it to be just a book to say, okay, don't touch a gun, that's it. But I put a lot of history. Some of the things that I talk about today is in the book. Because I talk about how history is important. And going back to Kemet again, there's this saying that says, know thyself. Know thyself. When you know yourself, you're going to think better about yourself. So in here is a lot of things about Memphis history and culture. I write about my family in it, about how they got arrested during the Civil Rights Movement. This is one of them right here. All 7 of my sisters got arrested during the Civil Rights Museum. During the Civil Rights Movement. I said Civil Rights Museum. That's Pavlov, and you hear stuff all the time. He goes, Civil Rights Movement. So I write about that in conjunction with just the history of Memphis, because Memphis is a very important place. That's a great question. But a lot of our leaders are ignorant to what Memphis really is. A lot of our leaders, they don't know. So how can you represent something that you don't really know? And so that's really what's happening in Memphis, a lack of, they said that only 25% of children are reading on grade level in Memphis. Only 25% of the children, 3rd and 4th graders. And the less you read, the more illiterate you are. So we got to push books instead of, I say books over bullets. You know, one of the hashtags in the book is, touch a book, not a gun. So when we think about, that's my niece too back there. She's might as well say who she is. That's my niece, that's Elaine's, one of Elaine's daughters, Elaine's daughter right there too, comedian. Oh, that's, well, you know your name. That's what the old folks, you know who I'm talking about. That's Camila and that's Alana. So she's an attorney. She helps young people who have been, how could you say it? They've been put into the system and should not have been put into the system. So this gun violence thing in Memphis, you know, they talk about culture. I hear these people talk, oh, Memphis is full of culture, it's full of culture. But you don't understand what it really is. Because you don't listen to the people that know. Let me just say, full straight on, we met with the mayors with the programs that I do with the Don't Touch the Gun education campaign. And they like to talk about what they want to do. Blue City Cultural Center, let's talk about the arts for a minute. We traveled to Paris, France in 1992 as a part of a conference there. He wrote a play called Black Boy, a tribute to Richard Wright. I did the music for it. This is coming out of Memphis. And we were at the Sorbonne and these other, big universities over there, all these places over there doing things. If you want to talk about helping to stop guns and violence, Blue City needs about $20 or $30 million. We have solutions in Memphis. I'm just telling you straight. Some people don't really want solutions because they want to be if it's not their idea, some folks like that. If it's not their idea, well, Ekpe, he don't know what he's talking about. He's just an old musician banging on them drums and tooting them flutes. He don't know what he's talking about. But this is what we have to understand. Some people really don't want it to change. I'm just going to be honest about it. Prison industrial complex. Some people do not want it to change because they're making money off of it. I'm just telling you, we have to know these things. Some of our politicians, they have stock in the prison system. So they don't want it to change. Say again? President? Yeah, they got stock in it. Zara, excuse me, Zara, you have a question? So did I kind of answer that question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. You want to read the book? You want to read something? Okay, don't stop a child from reading. Okay, come on, we gotta let her, we'll start from the beginning, just read some of it.
Yes.
Let's start from the beginning. And okay, that's the opening page right there. So let me say this too. I wanted the book to be beautiful. I wanted the art to be beautiful because of the subject matter. So I told Darlene, I said, I want you to put some birds in there. I want you to put some flowers and trees and beautiful skies and suns and make it beautiful. Make the art beautiful. Go ahead. Come on, stand up there.
David, Garnett.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, Khalil. Yeah, Khalil. That's your cousin, Khalil. So the names in the book are a lot of they are my nieces and nephews too as well. The characters in the book.
Khalil, David, Garnett, Michael, and Alex were best friends who did everything together. They liked playing sports and bike riding. They were in the same computer coding class, which was lots of fun. They were also in the Ernest C. Withers Solo Club with their friends.
Talk louder.
Yes.
Loud. Come. Use your outside voice. Okay, come on. Come on, stand right there. Stand right there and use your outside voice. You know how to, use your outside voice. Go ahead.
So we can all hear.
So we can all hear. Use your outside voice. Do that, say that last sentence again, the one that you just read. Read it loud.
They were also in the Ernest C. Wizards Photo Club with their friends
Tyree.
Tyree loves to take pictures of nature and the sunset. He had a photo exhibit at the Benjamin L. Hooks Library. Every day they walked to school. They crossed the street at the corner and looked both ways to make sure no cars were coming. Every day they saw Brother Blues, the mailman. Brother Blues was cool. His real name was Martin. He had a place in his car with Bobby, Lee, and B.B. King. He becomes a blues. And
Keep your voice up.
and the stats records. His favorite song by B.B. King was Why I Sing the Blues. He had also played with the Memphis letters. Obey your parents and teachers and do well in school. Young brother, he would always tell them, yes, sir. Mr. Brother Blues. The boys would always respond with respect.
Okay. So that's like the opening of the book. That's the opening, and it goes on down in there further with the "Don't Touch a Gun" song. Okay, read the pledge. We got about 1 minute. Let's go read the pledge because this is a part of the book too that we.
What?
Let's find the pledge. It's in the back. Let's see here. Okay, there you go. The parent pledge is in the back. That one's right there. Outside voice.
I pledge that if I see a gun, I will run and tell my parents, my grandparents, or another grown-up. I pledge that if I see a gun in my house or in a relative's house, I will not touch it. I pledge that if I see a gun in my friend's house or my neighbor's house, I will not touch it. I pledge that if I see a gun on the ground, street, sidewalk, or playground, I will not touch it. I pledge that I will not bring a gun, a knife, or any weapon to school. I pledge to tell my teacher or my principal if I see my classmate or any other student with a gun or a bullet. I pledge to keep myself and others safe. I will never touch a gun. I will never touch a gun. Don't touch a gun.
Okay. So that's the pledge. Thank you, Zara. Thank you, Zara. So that's just some of what's in the book. And as I say, there's a lot of other things in the book too. I just kind of connect a lot of different dots. So, well, since she's sitting, I'll let her keep her seat there. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can move on.
Yes. I think that's perfect. I do want to have another opportunity for people to ask questions if necessary. If not, I'll proceed with my closing. Yes.
Yeah, if I may. Thank you, by the way. It's also necessary. You know,
That's Jonathan. He's a gardener. He does a lot of other stuff.
I'm outside.
Good.
You know, I'm blessed and privileged to, travel and to have returned home, right, as an adult, and to understand Memphis not only through the lens that my mother gave me as a child, but now through my lens of the world, right? So I can see Memphis through a different lens, right? And bring things together because of my life experiences. So I'd like to know, from your perspective, how do you view Memphis as a true viable international city? And how do you leverage your experiences traveling around the world to create change here at home?
Let's see. What was that first part again?
Well, you travel.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You've seen things that other people haven't seen.
Yes.
Right? And obviously you interpret through music.
Yes.
As one of your vehicles, right?
Yes.
And obviously but you do it with intentionality.
Yes.
Every word means something. And so, or every note means something.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And so how do you take everything that you've gathered from around the world, and obviously it's now back home, to see Memphis through a different lens, and then you say, okay, I see things now in Memphis that didn't look the same before I left. And I can use these things that I can now see through a different lens for the betterment of our city. I just want to know like how that process plays out for you.
Man, so it's like that book, the opening lines. It was a tale of two cities. It was the best of times, and it was the worst of times. So that's how I see Memphis. And so, knowing what I know and having learned what I learned, it's about the children. We have to get to the children, get to the families. I mean, let me say family because the family, you heard my story about coming up in the family and everything, right? And this goes back in my family, not just my parents, even but my grandparents, great-grandparents. You hear me talk about Grandma Mandy, who was stolen from Africa, right? And so my grandfather, I say our grandfather, well, he's your great-grandfather, right? Yeah, Dennis Williams. He was born in slavery in 1862. And so he dealt with all of that. And so those things were passed down. The history of, he became a Garveyite. He was actually a Garveyite. For those who do not know what a Garveyite is, he was a follower of Marcus Garvey up in Haywood County. So they passed down their legacy to be strong. You know, a lot of the white people in Haywood County didn't like him. They called him that crazy N-word. That's what they, you know what I'm saying, N-word, y'all. Said Dennis Williams, that's that crazy N-word. Because he was speaking up for things. And so my worldview comes from that. Looking backwards, Sankofa, that's African term. Go back and reclaim that which is ours. So my trajectory looks back and looks forward as well. And then from a global perspective. So, you know, we got to get the demons out of Memphis. Let me just say it straight. There's some demons up in this joint. You know, just be straight. We got to exercise, and music is a powerful force to do that. There's an African proverb that says music has the power to heal or kill. So the music that I do, everything that I write about is for upliftment. It's about uplifting people in Memphis. And I wrote the song Black on Black Love because I got tired of hearing black on black crime. And when I was doing research, I do research on everything that I do, music that I write. So I went online, I was researching, right? Let's see, who else did Black on Black Love? And the algorithm kept taking me to, when I got to Black on Black, it said black on black crime, black on black hate. The algorithms kept going to something negative. So I'm like, the internet racist too. You know, so that was crazy. That was like, I'm like, wait a minute, why does it keep going saying these? So that's why I say intentionality is the word you use. We have to be intentional about our actions and what we're doing. So I intentionally wrote Black on Black Love to offset. I've had people ask me, well, why you write Black on Black Love? Why don't you love it? I ain't said about not hating it. I ain't said about hating anybody else. Some people take it as hating somebody else when you talk about loving yourself.
Right.
And that's a psychosis.
Yeah.
That's some deep, you know, like we said back in the day, that's deeper than French fry grease. So double consciousness, you know, W.E.B. Du Bois, in Souls of Black Folks. He talked about this double consciousness that black people have. We know we're black, but then again, we want to assimilate to try to get in where you never fit in. So that's how I see what I do in terms of dealing with that. So does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you. That's very good. As I close out, I have one final question for you. You know, family is obviously important for me.
Oh, so when you say, let me just say that my children are singing on that too as well on I Am a Genius, and also my niece. You see, I ain't gonna tell you age now, but when she was a little girl, she's also singing on I Am a Genius. So that lets you know back in the 90s. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So with all of that said, and with the current state of censorship as it pertains to the arts and other outlets of creative expression, what words of encouragement can you leave us with?
I'm gonna say love. I'm gonna say love. I'm gonna say love. You know, Stevie Wonder talked about it. The musicians, you know, Frankie Beverly, love is the key. Stevie Wonder said, love's the need of love today. Earth, Wind and Fire, Maurice White said, it's all about love. That's one of the songs that we played when we did the whole That's the Way of the World album, from top to finish. You know, with all the little interludes and everything, with the little, say again?
Y'all gonna do that again?
We're gonna talk about that and see. We'll talk about that and see. So that's really what it is. Dr. King talked about that, the beloved community. And so I have to let me mention Dr. King too, since you said that. That's what he was all about. You know, he was all about that. Love supreme. That's right, John Coltrane. So throughout the music, that was the theme, a good thing that we sung about. But this hate music now, you know, it's just, it doesn't make, but once again, that was by design, to change the idea during the movement, as we call it, during the movement, from good positive energy music to negative music. That was by design. That was by design. So I guess that kind of, that's it, you know. You know, once again, in Memphis, you know, you have this, you know, you never heard the term white on white crime. You know, anybody ever heard that term? You ever saw that in the media? Never saw that in the media. You know, Chinese on Chinese crime, did you know? Never heard that. So why black on black crime? Why? Once again, to present that negative stereotype. You know, when I was in the Gambia, West Africa, the people it's against the law to own a gun. Against the law for a citizen to own a gun. But these folks up here, they want to say, oh yeah, everybody can have a gun in the park and everywhere else. Teachers like, look, we ain't getting ready to do that. No, we are not getting ready to do that. So I guess that kind of answers, Dr. King, love, you know, but he was a man of love. And I talk about it in the book. I talk about Dr. King in the book. And how he was a man of love, but hate killed him. I mean, just. So, but love. Everybody say love.
Love this conversation. And I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. Take a couple minutes, mix and mingle, say hey. I know some of y'all were in the middle of greeting one another when we started, but I'll take your time. I don't want to rush anybody out, but it is late, so I know you guys have to go. That's more than okay. We will be having our next Griot Voice in the next 2 months. And so we'll announce who we have coming up, so I don't want to do it too early in case the commitment has not been locked in, but we're hoping so. But again, thank you. Thank you for the conversation again, Ekpe. I'm just so appreciative of the love and knowledge, not only from you, but your sister as well, Elaine, when you came and spoke with us, and if you still need some help at Berkeley Estates, like Nathan, hit me up. But thank you again for sharing your knowledge and just history, unedited, especially in the age of AI and how anything can change in an instant.
It's all AI, African intelligence. You know what I'm saying? African intelligence.
Yes, thank you for reading.
Wow.
Thank you all so much for coming out. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
So y'all do this little chant with me? Y'all know this song, right? Some of y'all know it. Y'all pick it up. I'll keep singing. I'm gonna solo a little bit.
Please,